several pages from Mr. Johansson that we can add to the public record. Mr. Johansson, we'll start your time when you get ready, sir.
Good evening, Board and Deputy Superintendent. My name is Jonathan Johansson. I'm a father of two in the Walton County Schools. First, I want to say thank you to Mr. Hughes and Ms. Apple, who are not here, for having conversations with me for the past couple weeks. And second, I would like to put this topic to rest, but many things that were said at the last school board meeting are not true. Although there were many, I only have time to address a few false statements. We are not trying to beat a dead horse, but we want to correct the public record. It was stated that Draw the Line, Respect the Line is on a state board approved list. However, it is not on any such list. And I have made a I have and would not have made a state approved list due to the statutes that it violates. It was also stated that Draw the Line is a supplemental service that goes above and beyond what is required to be taught. This is the rationale that was given for a loophole for the Department of Health used to bring in this unapproved curriculum. However, Florida statutes clearly state that all instructional materials used to teach reproductive health, such as STDs, HIV, and AIDS, must be annually approved by a district board in an open, noticed public meeting, which according to Dr. Hawthorne did not occur since 2017. It was also stated that boys and girls were separated in the classroom, or it was left up to the teachers to decide. This is not true. We have an email from the nurse, Tammy Watson, as well as teacher accounts that clearly state that boys and girls were taught together in the classroom. It was also stated by Holly Holt that the wooden prop penis it should make you feel uncomfortable.
This is given to 11 and 12-year-olds.
Passed around in the class. This is one of many examples of how the Department of Health tried to deceive by leaving details out. In Tammy's email, she states this wooden penis is used for the condom demonstration. You can read the email for yourselves. Additionally, it was stated that condoms are not distributed in class. This is another deception, and we have a first-hand account testimony that will be shared with you soon. The nurses actually told the students in the classroom, don't tell your parents, but if you want condoms, go to your school nurse and ask for a brown bag. And the school nurse would give them a brown bag full of condoms. The words don't tell your parents should never come out of an adult's mouth, especially when one is teaching students in a classroom. Board members, we have more information than we have time to share here. Please call me if you have any concern about this. And finally, I'd like to leave you with this thought. The people who approved this curriculum and then came into the classrooms and taught it to 11, 12, and 13-year-olds have caused much harm, most notably sex grooming, and there needs to be consequences and censures.
Thank you. Next on the list, we have Krista Johansson. Good job, JJ.
Good evening, Deputy Superintendent and Board. My name is Krista Johansson, and I have two children in the Walton County Schools. I'd like to start out by sharing a testimony of a young girl, a 7th grade student who just went through the Draw the Line class in December at Emerald Coast Middle School. She lives in our neighborhood. Her name has been changed to protect her, and she is in 7th grade. This is her story. The whole thing was so uncomfortable for everyone because the girls and boys were together. I wish they weren't because it was very uncomfortable for everyone. They told us that they wanted us to be protected no matter what. So we can come to the health department and ask for a brown bag and they would know exactly what that means. They will give us a bag with condoms in it and not ask any questions. They said they can give it to kids 12 and up, but also said, in quotes, "But no matter what age you are, if you're going to do it, come get some because we just want you to be protected and your parents won't have to know." They also made people read the book material out loud. Some people volunteered and some were just picked. Everyone cringed when they were looking to pick a reader. They had us read passages about a girl and a guy at a party and how they were attracted to each other and he took her to a bedroom and they just had sex. And many other story passages of uncomfortable situations. They talked about how girls have 3 holes that can be used and the parts of a boy that can be used. Then explained how oral sex works and other kinds of sex. When we got to the section on STDs, they said if we think we have symptoms of one, we can go to our school nurse and they will make sure we get a checkup with the health department and our parents will not have to know. So board, I'm not sure if you understand the full scope of the damages this Draw the Line program has done to the students and the community collectively, and we are happy that the program was stopped. But the fact that unvetted and unapproved materials were taught in Walton County middle school classrooms since 2017 and 18 is something that still needs to be addressed. Checks and balances systems need to be put in place to make sure this never happens again. People need to be replaced. And we want the Department of Health blocked from teaching in the classrooms. They've proven themselves to be untrustworthy time and again for years. You'll hear of other suggestions from parents and stakeholders in the community, and I hope you all listen to them well and take them seriously. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Number 1, we would like to partner with you in doing so, but it's going to take a concerted effort to make the parents and the community your partners and allies. We are not your adversaries. If we bring a question or a complaint to you, it is because we care about the children, and we expect you to listen to us. We have lost all trust and feel there is no transparency in the system. Our wonderful Governor DeSantis, in our great state of Florida, his administration, along with some very diligent representatives, have recently passed some very important legislation in relation to our children, parents, and the school system, and I would like to bring them to your attention. HB 1557, and I will not be paraphrasing, I will be reading from the exact bill. It's the Parental Rights in Education. Prior to signing the bill, Governor DeSantis spoke of the bill's importance. He said sunshine is the best disinfectant. I've heard this come from somewhere else before, maybe a president, but it still holds true. We have needed some sunshine in Walton County. HB 1557, Parental Rights in Education, requires district school boards to adopt procedures that comport with certain provisions of the law for notifying students' parents of specified information. Requires such procedures to reinforce fundamental rights of parents to make decisions regarding upbringing and control of their children. Prohibits school districts from adopting procedures or student support forms that prohibit school district personnel from notifying parents about specified information or that encourage students to withhold from parents such information. Prohibits school district personnel from discouraging or prohibiting parental notification and involvement in critical decisions affecting students' mental, emotional, or physical well-being. Prohibits classroom discussion about sexual orientation or gender identity. Requires school districts to notify parents of healthcare services. Authorizes parents to bring action against school district to obtain declaratory judgment. Provides for additional award of injunction relief damages and reasonable attorney fees and court costs to certain parents. HB 1467, K-12 education, establishes term limits for school board members, requires certain meetings relating to instructional materials to be noticed and open to the public. HB 7, individual freedom, which is not yet signed yet, prohibits but has been passed, prohibits instructional material reviewers from recommending.
Go on.
I can go on? Or do you want me to?
No, just finish it.
Let's finish that sentence.
I'm almost done. It just said Prohibits instructional material reviewers from recommending instructional materials that contain any matter that contradicts certain principles, requires DOE to review school district professional development systems for compliance with the law. In closing, I wanted to put these first, but I should have, because just for my beliefs. I would like to read 2 Bible verses, because Moms for Liberty is a nonpartisan group, but I just feel like I need to say these verses because I know the leanings of our school board members. It's Leviticus 5:1. If you sin by not stepping up and offering yourself as a witness to something you hear or have seen in cases of wrongdoing, you will be held responsible. Matthew 18:6 and 7 paraphrased. If you take advantage of a child's simple trust, you will soon wish you had not. You would be better off dropped in the middle of a lake with a millstone around your neck. We care about the kids and we want to work with you.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Next on the list, we have Rachel Hall. Hope I pronounced that right.
Alright, good evening, Deputy Superintendent and School Board. My name's Rachel Cobb, whatever. I'm a mother of 4 children with my kids in Freeport Middle School and Elementary School. I want to thank Mr. Hughes and Ms. Jerry Mitchie for your time in reviewing the Draw the Line, the Respect the Line curriculum and ultimately discontinuing it. This shows your desire to keep your parents involved in the education of our children. I'm here today to discuss my level of concern about the lack of transparency with the health-based curriculums at the middle school level. Prior to spring break, I had found out that my son's 6th grade class was gonna watch a health-based video, and all I had heard from other parents and teachers was that the videos are part of the Health 360 program. They're usually on drugs, violence, human trafficking, or a similar topic. I'm not at all against educating our children on these topics. In fact, most kids probably need more ongoing communication and education. However, I was concerned that I had not received any information from the school regarding what was going to be taught and or anything on the video that was going to be watched. So I reached out to the principal about this, and he assured me that he would look into it. And later that day, I was notified that the Health 360 program has been paused until further notice. So I was very glad to hear that's been looking into, but it really raised some red flags for me. So with all the situations that you've heard tonight brings another level of concern about the lack of transparency within the school. With lack of transparency becomes lack of trust. And we as parents collectively are losing trust about the health-based curriculums being taught. We want full transparency and communication with what is being taught to our children with the health and safety curriculum. We'd like to be involved in selecting an abstinence-based curriculum replacement per Florida state statute. There needs to be several parents involved in reviewing any future health and safety-based curriculums with the ability for all parents to review any of the videos or materials being seen, regardless of the curriculum chosen. So thank you so much for your time, for your consideration of these suggestions, and thank you for your service to our community.
Thank you very much for your time. Okay, next on the list, we have Jolene Jasherik. Did I say that correctly?
I think so. It took me about a month after we got So, good evening, everyone. Good morning from the evening board. My name is Jolene Jasherik. I do represent our homeschool community, and I just want to start off by saying, Governor DeSantis declared 2022 as the year of the parent. And something that we have just really come to the realization of is that COVID did not cause all of this, it exposed it. And we see what is happening across the nation, and none of us dreamed in a million years that we would see it seeping into our county. but here we are, and we are seeing the can of worms that has been opened, and more examples just keep being brought to the surface, and, we just really wanted to, as others have said, truth plus transparency equals trust. And we do really feel like that blind trust, we feel like that is something else that has been exposed to parents across the board in multiple industries, not just schools, but with doctors and all different industries, that there has been a level of blind trust for a very long time, and people have gone to sleep and have got very complacent and assumed that everyone was doing the right thing. But we see that that's not what's happened. I have been to the last 2 board meetings and others before that. The way the nurses tried defending the program at the last meeting is really what I had the biggest problem with. I know what was in those books. I'm sure most of you remember, all of us up here reading it out loud. We've seen the lessons, we've read the stories, and it's all extremely inappropriate. I have 2 middle-aged children who would have been in this class, so I take this very seriously. Seeing how easily this program was slipped into the public school system and then allowed to be taught for 4 years is wrong, and at the end of the day, you know, it comes down to, it was either knowingly shared or it was just not known about, and ultimately both of those options are not acceptable. We initially thought that it might have been the board and the superintendent that allowed it in the schools, but after hearing the deputy superintendent and the Department of Health speak at the last meeting, we now understand that the program was never presented to or approved by the board, which does go against Florida statutes, and I agree with what other parents have shared. If the Department of Health deputy superintendent or the curriculum director is part of the review panel or creation or selection process of future curriculum, we cannot trust it. A lot of corrections and safeguards need to be put in place before parents can trust the school system to protect our kids against something like this happening again. And I'm not sure if you realize that this problem has gotten much bigger. The word has gotten out, churches are involved, and members of the community are getting engaged too. And I'll just end with, a lot of mistakes were made, and we just really feel that we just hope that lessons were learned, because again, we're seeing more examples of forms being sent home with inappropriate questions on them, things being presented to be shown on half days that were inappropriate. So we're just asking for your consideration to really start going through what is, with a fine tooth comb, what is being presented to our children. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Jones. All right, next, we have, and I'm just gonna say Anita, because I'm not sure at all how to pronounce your last name. I apologize for that. Did she leave?
Yes, sir.
Okay. After that, we have Mark Robertson.
I'm here to speak for Moms for Liberty. I hope to say something constructive and actionable. For the record, my name is the Reverend Dr. Mark Robertson, U.S. Air Force retired. I am an active tutor with Varsity Tutors. Throughout the week I teach about 8 AP classes. I have a healthcare background. I've served as an emergency room chaplain for about 20 years, both stateside and in combat. In the course of those duties, I've been instrumental. I was the SARC chaplain for 8 years in the Air Force, which stands for Sexual Assault Response Coordinator. I was instrumental in getting the SAR nurses at Grady Hospital, which is the largest hospital in the Southeast, 1,000 beds, making sure that they were trained and you could triage a sexual assault through the emergency room so they wouldn't have to sit for care. For about 10 years, I've sat on integrated delivery systems where you're coordinating services with teachers, commanders, doctors, chaplains, psychologists, social workers. I think there was a departure from best practices, and I'd like to call the Walton School Board to a higher standard. of evidence-based practice, peer review, list of citations, parental approval, truth in advertising, and vetting of parent permission slips. The thing that I would like to suggest that could be constructive and actionable is what triggers the sending home of a parent permission slip. Who writes the parent permission slip? Who reviews the parent permission slip for activities like that? Who has authority to revise a parent permission slip? I think Moms for Liberty can be involved in that process. With the lack of transparency, there's been a loss of trust. Not only with the draw the line, respect the line curriculum, but some other things that are inserted in the curriculum. And we would like to know what triggers the sending home of a parent permission slip. For the draw the line, respect the line, it was advertised as an abstinence-based program. The truth is, they were teaching non-reproductive acts. Okay, with 3 holes. Non-reproductive acts. That can traumatize the children. My doctorate of education is in community care and counseling with a concentration in traumatology. A best practice, when you're gonna talk about something like that in the military, you would have a licensed counselor in the back room on standby. That this curriculum was given with the assumption that no kids have ever been traumatized or could be triggered by what they had seen. Right? And if they wanted to leave the room, you don't want a kid just walking out in the hall alone. You could have a licensed person be there so they're not abandoned in their flight from something that's obviously uncomfortable. This was an experimental curriculum, right? Which means there was no longitudinal studies. It's unethical to experiment on pediatric kids with these type of issues. It's said to be proven, but the truth is it was never tried.
Sir, I would remind you that your 3 minutes has passed in light of trying to get everyone that signed up to speak.
Thank you. I appreciate my last word. Science is something that could be observed and repeated. There should be a scientific process involved. That there should be transparency to be able to observe the process and to repeat it, to do it better next time with peer review, evidence-based practice, parent approval, truth in advertising, with a parent permission slip that we can all rally behind and say, that's right, that's good. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. On the list, we have Mandy Traylor.
Good evening, Deputy Superintendent and board members. Thank you for letting me have this time to speak. My name is Mandy Traylor. I am a mother of 2 teenage boys, and I'm also a preschool teacher. We've lived in Walton County for 10 years now, and my boys have attended Bay Elementary, ECMS, Gateway Academy, Seaside, Seacoast, and now I have one, my youngest is at South Walton High School. He's a freshman. And I've always been very involved in my boys' schools. Served on the PTA and all the parent clubs, any extracurricular activity they're involved in, I'm involved in, sports, band clubs, everything. I'm just overly involved with them because, well, that's my place as a parent. That's what my job is. And I've always loved Walton County schools as well. On March 31st, I received an email from South Walton High School about 3 sports physicals that they were going to have for their high school athletes at the school. And being that my son had just received his physical from our pediatrician, I kind of disregarded the email. I didn't think I needed to read it because he just had one, like he does every year. Well, my husband told me that I needed to open up the email and look at the form that was attached to that email from PanCare of Florida. That is the healthcare company, I guess, performing the physicals. And I have the form right here, PanCare Florida Sports Physical Intake Form. And I'm just gonna read the questions and the choices that I have a problem with. First of all, gender, check one. Female, male. Transgender, male to female to male. Transgender, female, male to female. Other, choose not to disclose. Okay, that's for gender. Now, I'm not a biologist, but I know that there are only two genders. And also, according to the state of Florida, if there are transgender athletes, they have to participate with their biological sex or biological gender, correct? I think so.
Yes.
Second question I have a problem with. Sexual orientation, check one. This is on a physical form, knowing your height, weight, eyesight, all of that. Sexual orientation, check one. Choose not to disclose, lesbian or gay, straight, not lesbian or gay, bisexual, something else, don't know. The next one I had a problem with, and this is for patient information. What is your annual income? Now, I've had two high schoolers. Neither one of them have an annual income, okay? So I don't even know why that was asked. So I contacted Superintendent Hughes and Dr. Tibbetts about this. I know my time's up, but just let me get this in, please. I understand PanCare is federally funded, and they told me it's free. It's a free service. That is not free. I'm paying for that with my tax dollars. My kids don't have an annual income, but I do, and a lot of that goes to taxes. So that is not a free service. I would not sign off on this form, and nobody I vote for would sign off on this form to have high schoolers fill out. And as you mentioned with the permission slips, do you know how many high schoolers forge their parents' names on the slip? Because they don't want to, first of all, bother with asking their parents to sign it. So I just think this is another example, and I thank God that my kids didn't have that sex ed class, but this is what, do you see how it's all related? This is what, they're learning that in middle school, and this is what they're getting in high school. So, the third party PanCare and other third parties like that, they need to be vetted. We need to have a committee of administrators, teachers, parents. I'll volunteer my time. I would have my time and energy to look over every piece of paper that comes before our kids. And we just have to save our kids, and I appreciate y'all letting me speak. Thank you.
Thank
you.
Next on the list, we have Kitty Hadaway.
Good evening to everybody on the board, and thank you for letting me speak and for what you do. And before I start my time, I'd like to say I agree with Jerry and Mickey that school board building ought to be in the middle of the county. Because y'all didn't allow input on that one, so make it easier for everybody. Because there are a lot of people that couldn't come tonight because it was up here in Defunier. I would first like to apologize to you that we as citizens have been asleep at the wheel for too long in the public arena. We have been too busy and too trusting that others would see to it that our children were protected. You, as our elected officials, are here to represent the will of we the people of Walton County. And so the buck really stops with us. It should not have taken us 5 years to discover the issues being discussed here. But you are also accountable, or whomever approved and allowed this curriculum. And obviously, the state statutes and guidelines were not enforced. And I really shouldn't have to stand up here and share with you with a wooden penis sitting in front of me on a desk. We are awake now and involved, as should have been the case all along. We believe that woke is not working. We do not want this extra sex ed curriculum being taught in our schools. We do not want the health department in our classrooms or setting up rooms where our children can go to get STD tests, vaccines we're hearing in the works, or brown bags with condoms without their parents' consent. It's been suggested that instead of bringing these issues to you, that we should consider going to law enforcement, as there are real concerns about the grooming and sexualization of our kids. If a parent wants their kid to be confused about whether they're a boy or a girl, they're free to do that in their home. But God is not confused about creating male and female in his image, and he will not be mocked. As has been said already, our great governor has said that Florida is committed to education, not indoctrination. And he's making it very easy for us to comply with that. So, as a citizen and as a Walton County concerned grandparent, I have grandchildren this age. I just want to encourage each one of you that we do not want this curriculum. It is not mandated, and there's no need in it, and we also want to be involved in a health curriculum. We know that is required, but the parents want to be involved with every stage of the game. And we want to be proactive and not be coming in afterwards, because we wouldn't be going through all of this if this had been done up front and not behind the scenes. And I know y'all are here for the same reasons we are, and that is about our kids. And they are kids. We're talking starting at 11 years old here. So I want to thank you, and I hope each one of you have a wonderful Resurrection Life weekend and Sunday this week. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Next on the list, we have Jacqueline Dabney.
Okay, my name is Jacqueline Dabney. I'm a retired educator with over 40 years of experience working with kindergarten through 12th graders, and I'm also a mother and a grandmother. In a previous meeting, the curriculum was stopped, and then Superintendent Hughes said he'd like to get a committee together to look to determine whether a curriculum was needed, and if so, to find an abstinence-based curriculum. As an educator, I know it's very important to have evidence-based curriculum, so I started doing some research, and I did find one program through a program called A&M Resources. It's been used in all 50 states, and with over with over 2 million students.
Was that A and M?
A&M, yes sir, A&M Resources. So anyway, it's been used in Florida, and so I got a hold of the website. It's in Collier County in Naples. And I went on their website. It's been in use since 2004. It's for ages 11 through 18 years. And it promotes not only abstinence from sexual activity, but also from alcohol use and drug use. So it's kind of across the board program. This program is called the Collier Community Abstinence Program, the acronym CCAP. And it complies with Florida statutes, to include Florida Statute 1003.46. And this statute states that schools should teach abstinence from sexual activity outside of marriage as the expected standard for all school-age children, while teaching the benefits of a monogamous heterosexual marriage, and also to teach the students have the power to control personal behavior and encourage students to base actions on reasoning, self-esteem, and respect for others. It also complies with Florida Statute 1003.42, which requires a comprehensive health education, including but not limited to family life, including consequences of teenage pregnancy, mental and emotional health, substance use, and so on. It also, the workbooks help fulfill a new rule called 6A-1.094121, which establishes a minimum hours of required instruction for mental and emotional health for grades 6 through 12 students. So some of the things they found from 2006 to 2017, there was a 63% decrease in births to unwed mothers ages 15 through 19, that's based upon Florida Department of Health stats. They had the lowest student absentee rate, which was 5.3% out of 66 counties in Florida. They had a 19.4 increase in high school graduation rates. And they went, they were like at the bottom of the barrel for STDs, for gonorrhea, etc. And they went up to 4th place for the fewest number of STDs in the state of Florida. So just wanted to kind of present that. The man that developed the program was really nice. He sent a set of workbooks for 6th grade through 12th grade to look at. The ladies, Moms for Liberty group has that. So just wanted to present that there are programs out there that have been used and are working and are effective and meet the Florida statutes.
Ms. Daddy,
Yes.
did you say the district that you?
Collier County.
Collier, thank you.
It's in Naples, Florida.
Yeah, I missed which
And
county.
they've been using it, and, I've actually got some information here about it, here, I can just pass that on to you, it's got the website there.
Thank you.
But, yes.
That's all we had signed up to speak. Is there anyone else that wishes
Can I give the
to?
deputy, this?
Yes,
This was
ma'am.
just kind of a little, overview of where the program came from, and then it went into,
Jason,
the
could you
actual
share that?
Collier County
I'll give it to
program.
Ms. Lauren.
Okay.
All right, next item on the agenda is item 1502. Kayla, attorney's report?
Yes, sir. Mr. Deason's in Birmingham today, so we want to